Ladies and gentlemen, the best weekend of golf is here. After 3 months of hit or miss tournaments, we are finally at the Masters. My name is Logan, otherwise known as WizBetz, and like I am every single week, I am joined by my partner in crime, TMDProps. TMD, how you doing, my guy?
Pretty good. I feel like we've been talking about this one particular week for so long. So I'm happy that it's finally here and we get to enjoy it.
What makes the Masters so special? Why is this the marquee event of the year?
I think it's the tradition. Everything that's gone along every single year, the fact that you have the best golfers in the world, and it's always such a big hurdle. We saw it with Rory last year. For certain guys in their careers, to earn one of these is everything. And just the different what everyone says about it is so true. And I mean, I've personally never been, but I do think it's a magical place of golf. And just to for the guys to be able to play there year in and year out, you really hear from them how special it is. So yeah, it's the best place golf could ever be played.
Well, let's talk about the Masters, and specifically, I want to talk about Augusta National Golf Club, one of the most famous golf courses in the world. Talk to me about Augusta. Talk to me about what this course is like, and what holes we should specifically be looking at that you're excited about.
I think my favorite holes have always been 13 and 15 in the back nine, or as they would call it, the second nine. There are just so many unique challenges, and 15 used to be a little bit more of a easy score, like get there in two, and honestly, it was an eagle hole. Now it's a little bit different, and I just think that the different hazards that you see in those two holes make things so interesting. With the last few years, I've seen so many water balls when I wasn't truly expecting it, and I think that can really catch not only the viewer off guard but the golfer off guard. Um, and so that's when things can really change. I know there are different challenges throughout all 18, and there are different holes you got to look out for. But I'm always keyed in to the aiming corner in 15 as well, just because that's where stuff can really shake up, either for the better or for the worse.
Yeah, I mean, the Aiming Corner is going to be a really big. I know you like holes 15 and 16 a lot. I know there's a lot of famous shots on 16. I think the first thing that comes to mind would be that Bryson DeChambeau shot over the water. Am I remembering that correctly?
Yeah, I feel like there were so many hole in ones just in that span of like a couple of years around like 2018, 2019, 2021. Like everyone was making them.
Mm-hmm. Uh, on the longer side of courses, definitely one of the more difficult ones. If you're going to be sorting by golfers, definitely make sure you're taking out those easy courses. We will talk about what golfers that we like. I know that me and TMD both have a list of golfers we like and types of golfers we like. But I wanted to start off our very special show with a little bit of game, a little game, and I would like to call it fact or fiction. I think the most popular thing during Master season is the betting trends. Would you agree with that?
It's everything. It's the most predictive course by double. And with that, you're going to get a lot of trends and people are going to stick to them, myself included. I'm a huge trend guy. And yeah, it's almost like the rules that you need to follow, but I don't agree with all of them.
Well, that's what we're about to do. I'm going to give you 8 of the most popular Masters trends that I have found. These are found on Twitter, some podcasts that I've listened to, Google, and my favorite podcast, Tour Talk, which everyone should give a listen to. You talked about a few of these, but I just want you to basically say, fact or fiction, this betting trend matters. I want to go with the first one that really stood out to me, and it is you have to be within 27 to 40 years old. TMD, fact or fiction?
Fiction. I don't I because I think that it's 27's a little bit too old. I do think that you can get to the tour young enough to be able to have the right amount of experience or talent to be able to win. Ludwig is one of my favorites. 26 years old. Are we going to count him out because he's not 27? That's ridiculous. On the older side, I would agree. Maybe, yeah, if you're in your, well into your 40s, you probably won't win. But if you're even considering a golfer that's in their mid 40s or late 40s for the Masters, you're kind of crazy to begin with. But I have to go fiction. I think that you can be younger than 27.
Especially since there's a lot of guys that are coming up in golf that not a lot of people know about that could win it under 27. We'll talk about a few of them, and I fully agree with you. The next one, though, more analytical and a little bit more ranking-wise. Fact or fiction, you got to be top 25 in the world at the Masters.
A surprising take here. I actually think this is fiction as well. Just because, in my own personal opinion, I think that the number is more around 30 or 35. And I just say that because there you can come into form a little bit more like closer to the Masters, and maybe you're not earning a top 25, but you're close and maybe you were there. I just think that there are certain circumstances where we can't say, yeah, you have to be top 25. But for the most part, I will say it's fact because typically, yeah, you do see the top 25 player win the Masters, but not always. I don't think you have to be there exactly.
I mean, some guys that aren't in the top 25 right now would be Siwoo, Ryan Gerard, John Hamm, Shane Lowry, Kurt Kitayama. Feels really arbitrary to pick 25 to pick out those golfers, which I all think have their pros in the Masters. Here's one that I think is a little bit more interesting because we talk about the Masters in Augusta as a course where you need good course history. Fact or fiction, you need to have a top 22 performance in a Masters before, or specifically the previous Masters.
Fact. You have to be able to at least post one. There's no way that you would ever be able to come out and just have your first good round, or sorry, good set of rounds be a win. Like I just can't see anyone being able to go through Thursday through Sunday and just piece together exactly what you need without that history coming into place before. You almost have to see the good things happen first, as well as the bad things. And, you got to know where to hit it as well as you need to know where to miss. So, yeah, for someone to, maybe place like 38th or like T40 and just the next year they're just going to win. It makes no sense to me. I think you do need a top 20 typically. As we see in this particular statistic, yes, it's top 22. It fits the trends a little bit better. You need to have a good finish before you win, for sure.
Top 22 is bringing in some guys because they believe it's like 17 of the last 18 have at least finished top 22 in a previous Masters. Yeah. I mean, I think people also may at first think, wow, top 22, that's a really high bar. Well, the Masters isn't a big field. It's not like there's 145 golfers each Masters. It's a limited field. So top 22, for a person that you expect to win the Masters, I don't think that's a high bar whatsoever. One of the more important ones, for sure. Now, this one is going about the previous Masters. You had to have at least made the cut in the previous Masters. TMD, fact or fiction?
It sucks because I think it's fiction, but it's like 27 of the last 28. So by the number, it's definitely fact. In my deranged head, it's fiction because you could have a guy like let's say Rory. He's statistically finished the best. If he goes and misses the cut this year, you're telling me there's no way he'll make it next year? Like even if he comes out and he wins the Players again and he's having all these top 10 finishes, you're telling me someone with great form and great history, they can't win the Masters just because they missed the cut the previous year? Just in my head, it's so fiction. It's so fiction. But on paper, it's one of the most consistent trends in Masters.
Mathematically, to make a cut previous Masters, we'll talk about a few more. We're at 5 of 8. This is one of the more statistically correct ones. Now, it might just be a coincidence because if you were good enough to make the Masters, you generally always make the cut, and no golfer has had a bad previous season, whether due to injury or a bad couple holes in rounds 1 or 2. So it might just be by accident, which is why I slightly lean fiction. But I'm with you that just I feel like if you're already in this category where we're targeting you, you've already made the cut the previous Masters. I lied. That was the fourth one because the fifth one is the one that's going to cut so many people out that people are so excited to bet on. TMD. Fact or fiction, you cannot be a debutante and win the Masters.
You can't. We'll never see it. We kind of talked about it with that top 22. You need to see the course. And like there are debutantes that are playing this week that have technically seen the course. I know that they made it out a few weeks ago. Goddard talked about his initial feel of the course. But even if you want to bet guys like that, and like sure, there are other trends for Chris Goddard, Jacob Bridgman, for example, like those guys can contend at majors. It's just they can't contend at Augusta, not this year because they're debutantes and debutantes never win. We haven't seen it since 1979. I don't see that ending this year. It's not like there's some crazy phenom. As much as I want to, take my hat off and give it to Goddard up, two wins already this year. It's awesome, but it's just not happening. And unfortunately, guys like Goddard, guys like Jacob Bridgman, they have this weird cult following that I don't know where it came from, but there are folks on the good old X.com app that, somehow think that they have a chance. They don't. It's a fact. You cannot be a debutante.
I think the Goddard love comes from the fact that a lot of people had him to win in both of the tournaments that he did win, and they made a ton of money on Goddard. So it's like, well, he's been so dominant and he's made so much money for me. Why can't he do it at the Masters? I will say, if he goes out there and wins the Masters and breaks this trend, the Goddard fans will never shut up about it for the rest of their lives. Because all the so-called experts and the people who actually research the Masters know not to bet Goddard at all.
And I do want to say a big thing about debutantes is that they can still finish well.
Yes.
They could finish as good as second. We saw that just the other year. Ludvig did it, and he's exactly the kind of guy that, you can get behind for like a first timer. But again, it's just too many feels, too many thoughts, too many emotions. It's hard to win.
The next one, definitely analytically driven, and I want to shout out the people at BetSpurt who help with shots gained. Fact or fiction, you have to have at least 18 shots gained in 2026.
Yeah, this one specifically goes back to your last four appearances, or I guess last 16 rounds. Strokes gained tee to green. And I think when you look at this stat in particular, there is two kind of like exceptions with, I believe it was Pat Reed and Danny Willett, where they were able to gain 18. I think a better one to look at is 20, just because although it doesn't include Willett and it doesn't include Pat Reed, it's definitely one of those that just shows how much form matters. I think this is the most important trend.
Really?
If you're able to gain tee to green in your most recent, it's four tournaments or 16 rounds, like that just says a lot to how you're playing golf at the moment. And it's no surprise that all the winners, they have all been playing well because current form matters. This is my absolute favorite. And when we go down the line on the guys that are available or who have checked this box, you'll notice it's the best damn players in the world. And Minwoo Lee. Kind of funny how he's in there.
Wow.
Hey, he's top 25. So he's 25 on the nose. I think he might be 22 or 25. So he's in there for that one too. There's going to be some Minwoo tickets. But this one is just my favorite. I love this one. This is the be all stat that you can be referencing when you're betting on the Masters.
Interesting. Well, and we'll dive into the statistics and what guys fit into this category in a bit. I got two left for y'all. I think you've gone 3 for 3, fact on fiction. Fact or fiction, in the last 3 to 5 tournaments, you need a top 10 finish. Now this is not the Masters. This is in 2026 in the last 3 to 5 tournaments.
Fact. It plays into your recent form, but I think it shows sort of that spike value. Can you really get up there? Can you really finish well leading into the Masters? Because if you have a guy that's just finishing top 20 every time, but it's like T18, T20, you had a 14. It's like, that's nice. But did you just kind of hang in it and spike on Sunday? Because anybody can do that. And that happens every year at the Masters. But if you're finishing top 10 or even 10th works, I mean, it plays into the trend, just shows that you were able to get up there in a big field of, 150 or, 130 or whatever it may be that week. The courses that lead up to the Masters too, especially going back 5 tournaments ago, what's that? That might be Genesis or something like that. Like those tournaments are tough. The players, that's tough. That's sawgrass, man.
Waste
And then you got
Management,
Valero
Phoenix.
last week. Yeah, it's just yeah, they're tough ones, and so yeah, I think you need a top 10 because there's not too many tournaments on the year. So last 5, yeah, you got to get one.
Yeah, because I mean, you're not going to get a lot of guys that have been barely making the cut in weak fields to go in the best field there has been all year in the Masters, which is invite only. No, you're not going to get cold golfers doing well at the Masters, one of the most difficult courses out there. The last one for you, and this is one that I found deep, so you might not have heard this one before. Has about a 90% hit rate since the 21st century. TMD, fact or fiction, after round 1, you need a top 10 finish. So you need to
I
be
love
top 10 after round 1.
this is one of my favorites. I love this one. Unfortunately, I thought that my Rory ticket was dead last year. I'm telling my roommates, "Oh, he's not top 10. Like he had it. He was 2 under and now he's even. Well, like why did he double? Now it's impossible for him to win the Masters." And my roommate looks at me and he goes like, that's such a dumb thing to say. Like you can't win on day 1, but you can lose, but even isn't losing. And if you're tied 22nd or something, like you're not out of it." And then Rory goes and shows why this one is fiction. Even though before going into last year, I thought that this was the greatest thing. And I was thinking about it in the car today too, Wiz. I was thinking, man, like I hope I can get like 3 of my guys top 10 after round 1. Because if they're all not in the top 10, I'm going to be so sad because I love this trend. I love this trend so much, but it is fiction. Rory disproved it. And you know why? It's because you can go low, low on any day. You can go way low, cut into it, and then stay consistent from there. You don't need to be top 10. Now, if you really stink on round 1, yeah, you can cut that one off. But you got to be at least kind of close. That's my trend. TMD trend. You got to be kind of close to the top 10 after round 1.
Yeah, that's a really good analytical trend. You have to be kind of in it, but you don't have to be really in it. Yeah, that's a great one that I'll write down. So for recapping the trends, you have to be 27 to 40. We're going fiction on that one. You have to be top 25 in the world. You're going fact on that. You have to be top 22 in a previous Masters. You said fact on that one, correct?
Mhm.
Okay. You had to make the cut in the last Masters. You said fiction. You cannot be a debutante. Fact. You have to be 18 strokes gained on tee to green in the last 16 rounds. That's your favorite one. That's one that you will talk about when we talk about on BetSpurt. You have to have a recent top 10 finish. Fact. And you faded the top 10 finish after round 1. I like doing that because it really like narrows down the field. And as we move to the next section, we're going to talk about the types of players that we want to bet on going into the Masters. Now, this isn't necessarily specifically where this is the types of golfers. Now, we have the trends laid out for us. That's like the fun history aspect. But on actual Augusta, what is something in a golfer that you need in order to do well?
Got to be able to strike, man. It's a second shot course. Everybody
If we're
knows.
playing at the high school golf course and you tell me what do you need to do well, Wiz, you're gonna tell me I got a ball strike well. That's every tournament you say that. But why is it so important at Augusta?
It's important because you need everything that comes together for it. Like you don't just need to be, good on approach. That's a must for a lot of courses, and especially with the way that the greens behave here. Yeah, you need it here again. And that's not a shocker, especially for one of the best tournaments in the world. You also just you need a little bit of distance, but you might not need as much accuracy off the tee, but you just really need to be crushing the ball as well. Distance is one of those sneaky things that comes up in trends. I think Mickelson's caddy did a study years ago about driving distance being a huge factor here, and it proved correct, and it's still correct to this day. So yeah, you got to be good with your irons, but you also got to be good off the tee. Every bit of striking matters here, and it shows for the guys at the top of the leaderboard.
Yeah, because this is one of the longer courses out there. Getting that really good second shot is important, and for the ball strikers, which we'll talk about in a minute, that's important as well. One of the more popular things that I've heard, which is around like third or fourth most important thing, is putting. You're on the opposite side of this, that you don't think putting is a big deal. Is that correct?
Yes, I don't want to make trends cut so deep that being good at something is now a bad thing. But when you look at the previous winners, putting going into the tournament hasn't been the biggest deal. Obviously, you need to putt well at Augusta, but we're a show that likes to take historical data and try to make it predictive. And here, it just shows that you don't necessarily need to be the best putter going in. And we've seen more team no putt, team, just strike the hell out of it and hope the ball goes in. Ends up working out here. So that's what I'll say to that.
Not surprising. TMD hating on Jacob Richmond continues to just disrespect his game like he has all year. No, I get it. It's fine. That is what it is. What do you think is more important at Augusta to be better at? The par threes or the par fives?
That's a tough one because you need to be good on par fives. You need to be. So I'd have to lean par fives because that's where the majority of the scoring is done. At the same time, you could say, well, you need to be good on the par threes because that's a good way to mitigate mistakes and make sure that you're gaining in other areas and making sure you're not falling away and having a stupid double on a par three. They all matter, but yeah, you need to score on par fives. So I'll go there.
Okay, that's fair. I will say the par threes on the back nine are going to be a really, really big deal, especially 16 Redbud. I feel like that's a hole where if somebody's having a good round, they could lose their entire round on Redbud. Is that true?
A little bit. I do think that, it's one of those holes where if you do miss wrong, I mean, you're just going to have to get it together at that point.
Yeah, because all the par fives are done by then. Then you finish on 17 and 18. All right, this is the moment everyone's waiting on. Like, enough about the trends. Enough about the types of golfers we want. Everyone already knows. Let's talk about some names. There's a few golfers that we really, really want to highlight. Guys that we've already talked about. Obviously, thank you again to BetSpurt for this amazing model. We'll be sorting by that to talk about each golfer. You can sort by total strokes gained. You can go tee to green. Let's start at tee to green. Because you mentioned that in the last, 16 rounds or 3 months, you got to be elite at tee to green. And somebody who is by far the best right now is Matt Fitzpatrick. Talk to me a little bit about Fitzpatrick, because I believe, fun fact about Matt Fitzpatrick, correct me if I'm wrong, he's one of 2 golfers to have gotten an invite to the Masters in 10 consecutive years.
Yeah, and to go along with that, he's made the cut every single year as well, which is crazy. Only him and Hideki are the only ones to be able to say that. Um, he's just been stellar this year, and we've been talking about it for a while, how he's brought his game fully together to be able to compete pretty much everywhere. And it's not just kind of the short game excellence anymore. Now it's full ball striking. His approach has been wonderful. Picks up a win 2 weeks ago. He's perfect for Augusta right now. I know that there's a lot of chatter that the course is going to play a little bit drier. It's going to make it harder for the folks that do not have a tall, almost apex height on their strikes, and so he might get into trouble trying to rely on spin as much. But I think that's just such an overly specific thing to cut a golfer out for. I still think that this is a guy due for a top finish, and I actually think that he has one of the best chances to win this weekend.
Well, let's talk about the things that we're looking for. Obviously made the tournament in the last 10 years, has made the cut in every single one of them, was on a really good trend, finishing 34th, 14th, 10th, and 22nd in 4 consecutive years. Fell out of the top 20 last year, finishing top 40. But if you just look at some of his course finishes, Is there anybody that's hotter on the planet right now than Matt Fitzpatrick? Second finish at the Players, one Valspar. Is that like that's what you want? You want somebody who finished well at one of the Masters prep courses.
Yeah, I think the only people that are as hot as him right now are just the other guys in my bet slip. Like, just gonna take anybody who's killing right now, and Fitzy's one of them. I think getting that win is so huge. Not only for what it says to his recent form, but it ticks off another trend. You got to have a win. That's what That's at least one of the 30 trends you got to look out for. I just think that the way that Fitzy's been playing is just awesome. And even though he did have a little bit of a blip um, a few weeks ago, or I think it was a month ago, he's really put it all together. And he's been a joy to watch too. Just seeing Matt Fitz just kill it. I don't know. He's probably, if I could rank them, I'd say he's like my third favorite this weekend.
Well, I wanted to mention Fitz first, but we do. Oh man, it's right here. We do have the TMD Props Top 10 Masters rankings. Shout out my boy on creating this. Obviously, Roy first, probably one of the best people to not win the Masters at Augusta before last season, finally getting that Grand Slam. Scottie, Xander, Jean Rahm. We're seeing a few LIV guys on here as well. We will get to the LIV guys. I know that's like one of the most popular golfers to bet on because you can only bet on them in a few tournaments on the year. Is there anyone on this rankings list that you actually don't agree with the rankings? Because again, these are the model rankings. These are not like TMD's perfect rankings.
Yeah, this week is a week where I really love the model. Maybe not in the order that it's in, but the players listed. I think if there's one guy that you really just shouldn't have a ticket on in this top 10, I think it's justifiable for any of these. Maybe not Scotty because those odds are terrible. But to have a ticket for Colin Morikawa, I can understand if you did it a few weeks ago. And I really thought when he was cooking this year that he was going to be someone that can really contend at Augusta. But just with that back injury, you just can't trust it. He's still saying that he's day to day. Doesn't necessarily have the distance to really compete with some other guys here. He would just need to make up for it in other areas, which I just don't see happening. He's definitely a consistent Masters player. You always see him up there in the leaderboard, but to win at least or like a top five finish, I'd say stay away from Morikawa, and I am this week.
Yeah, I mean, it's tough because we've been backing Morikawa and then he dropped out a couple tournaments ago. I would say if he does well at the Masters, and then he has a couple good finishes after that, we can start targeting him for other majors. But it's just very risky for the odds that you're getting on Morikawa to really back him right now with that injury. I also want to mention that with Rory. Now, Rory obviously had all the Masters prep of the dinner and everything like that and the pageantry and whatnot. But McIlroy just withdrew from a tournament as well. Are you concerned with Rory at all or no?
A little bit. Rory's a guy that stays fresh, and I just don't really. It's not that I think he'll be bad, but I don't think he's in contention just because, one, it's really hard to win back to back years. Rory showed you exactly why it's hard to win, period. So, just despite how good he was. So, yeah, for him to take the last few weeks off and just also have that injury a couple weeks ago, I just don't think he's in contention to win it. Now, can he place well? Sure, but you're going to get it at crazy odds. So he's kind of just like a no bet this week. He becomes, obsolete. Can't really buy into him this week because they won't let you. The number's too bad, and without the recent success or recent form, as having played the last few weeks, he's really invisible here.
Trust me, we'll talk about Rory again in a little bit. But now that we got done with the model rankings, we can look back at our tee to green list. Obviously, Morikawa's on there. Tommy Fleetwood is somebody. Now, he hasn't really been, I don't believe he was in your top 10. He was at 9. Correct me if I'm wrong. Are you flaming hot on Tommy Fleetwood, or is this somebody that you're just kind of not appreciating the line for, maybe at plus 2,200?
I think he's probably the best golfer that I'm not taking this week. Uh, it's not that anything specifically turns me off to Tommy. I think that his profile is great. He's obviously a phenomenal golfer. He fits in with, a lot of great courses. And it's not that, he doesn't have tremendous driving distance. He doesn't, but he still plays well on long courses. I don't see it. He's not necessarily one of the guys that I view as a closer. And I always hate when people say that, like, oh, can't bet him because he's not a closer. But like, Tommy Fleetwood's kind of the definition of like can't close out a tournament on the PGA Tour, and like he was able to get the Tour Championship last year, sure, and that was kind of a huge monkey off your back. But now to add all the pressure of Augusta, and it just, I think that there's a lot of players here, a lot meaning probably 7 or 8, but like, yeah, he's just not someone that I want to add to the existing card of outrights that I have, so I'm skipping on him this week.
That's totally fair. Because we could talk about somebody that you do like. Somebody you've been betting a little bit more on. Somebody we've talked about a little bit more. Ludvig. Ludvig has been really, really, really good in recent weeks. Top 5 finishes at Arnold Palmer, the Players, and Valero. Tee to Green has been among the best in the entire tournament in the last 16 rounds. I mean, give me a reason not to bet Ludvig.
There's not one. I mean, I think a lot of people say that you need to have, 3 or 4 appearances at Augusta under your belt to be able to really contend and win it. But why does that trend exist? Why do people say that? Well, because you need to know, how the course plays and what's good and what's bad. The dude was second place as a debutant, comes back, and he would have easily been top 5 if he didn't just lose his brain on the 18th on Sunday, end up, T7. He's already had 2 amazing finishes here. And like, it makes sense. The profile's there. It's just usually you don't see guys this young, this inexperienced, be able to contend the way that he's contended, but he just has. So you write away that trend. You say, well, if there's anyone that's going to beat it, yeah, it's Ludwig because he kind of has. And especially with the form coming in, I said I couldn't wait any longer. I wanted to see how he was going to do with the Valero. The second he goes, 3 under, I think he was 2 or 3, 4 under on the day. I was like, I need the number now because this is going to slide. The only thing that was left for me was seeing how he was going to do here, and then boom, he top fives or whatever he finished at Valero. He was great.
Yeah, he was 5th at the Valero, and at the best tournament that wasn't the Masters, the Players, he finished 5th. So it's not like he's taking advantage of weak fields either. Obviously, 2 top 10 finishes at the Masters, including second in 2024. Was almost a trend breaker in 2024. We mentioned that when we were talking about debutantes. You thought that maybe, he got lucky in 2024. Very similar, like I believe Zalatoris had a really good finish at the Masters a couple years ago. Am I correct on that?
Yeah, he's had a couple, yeah.
Yeah, but then kind of fell off as the years go on. Ludwig immediately next year 7th. So it's not like that was an accident either. If he wins the Masters, we have to treat him like among the top 3 golfers in the world, I believe. I mean,
Right, yeah, probably top 5 for sure. Top 5. I think he's at 5 if he wins this year, collects a major, because then I just think he's due for more.
Oh yeah, I mean, because he's so young. This Ludwig reminds me a lot of Rory 15 years ago, 10, 15, however long that was ago. Young golfer on the scene, because there's nobody really around his age that is near his level right now. Is that true?
Not necessarily. Not around 26, 27 that I would say is like, as good as him.
Mm-hmm.
But
hey, you know what? I think WizBetz in a few years is going to get to his level. We'll see.
yeah, keep grinding that golf sim for sure.
I want to mention somebody that doesn't fit a lot of the model and a lot of the trends, but it's somebody that you absolutely hate betting on, but you love as a golfer. And I might just have to bet on him to break this cold streak of yours. We got to talk about not Adam Scott, Nicolai Hojaard. You want to talk about somebody that's coming into Augusta and it fits the course well? That's Hojaard right now.
Yeah, I think for top finish markets, this is a guy that can really pierce through and just net you some money. I'm terrible at betting him. I feel like I always stay away on full when when he ends up doing really well in a tournament, and then I'll try to attack a certain round and he'll suck that one round. I'm bad at betting him, but he's just been so stellar this year, and it's a course that I think that he can really take advantage of. He's a par five killer. This is a course where you need to score on par fives. He's been pretty good around the greens. He's been able to scramble well, and that's another quality that you need to have at Augusta, or else you're just going to lose strokes over and over and over again. Find yourself missing the cut when you don't even think you played that bad. Nicolai is someone with good enough form too. Just I do think he fits a lot of the different things that you need to have done for yourself in a given year to compete here. So I do think that when you're eyeballing different top 20s, top 30s, maybe even a sneaky top 10, I think if you can get good value on that top 10, that is a worthy investment.
We mentioned it the last time we were talking about Hojaard, but outside of like minus 0.5, he's been a positive putter all year. And that is not something that has been true for his career. So again, talking about somebody who was coming in hot after a top 2 finish at the Houston Open, really good. If this course wasn't the Masters and this was just a course that you had at a normal event, I think people would be taking Hojaard a lot more than they are right now. I think they're scared about him getting cut last year, which is a trend. That is a trend that we did talk about. However, in 2024, well, he was leading after 3 rounds, correct? Like at the turn in round 3, he was the leader at the Masters.
Yeah, I think he was up there. Yep.
It was him and Ludvig, like the 2 debutantes that were just killing it. So, and again, I think that's why we lean more top finish, because that experience helps in rounds 3 and 4, because there is no bigger pressure round of golf in your life than round 4 of the Masters when you're in top 5. It just doesn't get bigger than that. So definitely somebody that I'm keeping an eye on, maybe more from a round score and a like per round betting, maybe instead of like a finish or to actually win it, because I don't love his odds, but we'll talk about that in a little bit. I want to mention somebody because I mentioned this guy to TMD last night, and he goes, well, he's not on my bet slip currently, but I understand what you're thinking about. And I think every second since I've said that, you've looked at Xander and have been like, man, I got to have something on this guy. Because we talk about the things that you need to win the Masters. Well, I'll say the same thing I said about Ludvig and Matt Fitzpatrick. Give me a reason not to have money on Xander this weekend.
I asked myself that same question pretty much all day. I was like, why don't I have Xander on the slip? Like, why is he not in the card? So I looked through and I sifted through all the different data points. I even pulled up PGA Stats, Mr. Ron Kloss's his model, and I'm like looking through all the different data pieces and what Ron, thinks you got to have. Like, all right, well, that's a lot of green. And I just kept seeing green. And I was like, you know what? I'll look up some trend articles. Maybe there's something that he doesn't have. And no, he's up there on all the different trend, articles. And so then I was like, why don't I bet him then? Like, isn't that what we're doing here? We're taking the data and all the different trends and picking the best golfers. I was like, why is he not on my card? I think I just have something against him because I took him to win this tournament in 2022. If you look up his history, you'll see that he has a bunch of top tens and he has a missed cut on 2022.
But when did you bet on him then?
So I bet on him. I bet on him when he missed the cut. And then I was like, oh, I can't ever bet on him again. Yeah, I'm an idiot. So we're going to take him.
If you're talking about a guy that has been consistently in the top 5 golfers for a while, and somebody that, a lot of times this is who wins the Masters. This happened to Rory last year. Somebody who's due. Xander Schauffele is beyond due to win a Masters at this point.
Yeah, I think he's right in that spot. I think the average winner is like on average their 9th appearance or something like that, and he is. So
yeah, he's on his 9th. He finished 2nd his 2nd time, then 3rd his 4th, back-to-back 8th finishes, top 10 in the 2023. Like, I just there's no other things that we need from Xander. 4th and 3rd finish the last 2 in Masters prep tournaments. Top 7 at the Genesis, a really big tournament. 41th at the Phoenix. We thought he was struggling. Farmers in Phoenix. I think that's partly why you're maybe a little sketch on Xander, because I remember we bet on him in, I think, both of these tournaments, if I remember correctly. and we had a cut parlay for him at the Farmers, and he missed the cut. But tee to green has been one of the best in the sport. Ball striking, one of the best in the sport. I think the combination of ball striking and tee to green, I think Xander is the best golfer in those two categories on the year. We can take a look actually in the last, let's go to even 2 months. You go tee to green, Xander is 9th, but then ball striking, he's 3rd. The only other people that are top 10 in that are going to be like Ashke, which we'll talk about in a second, Morikawa, who's dealing with an injury, McIlroy, and Fitzpatrick. So, I mean, he fits the course, he fits the history, he fits the narrative, he fits the trends. There is literally no reason to bet on Xander. And the reason why I like Xander personally is I think he should be among the favorites to win the tournament, and he's not right now. And that's wild to me at the moment.
Yeah, I love the 18-1 number. It was obviously better in the past week. I wish I kind of came around to him a little bit sooner, but that is definitely a play that I think that the WizCourt is going to be seeing from us tonight, because I cannot leave him off. I decided there's no way. I will be so sick to my stomach, or I would be. Now that I'm betting him, I'm not going to be, but I would be sick to my stomach if I saw him like get the jacket and he's like the one elite golfer I just didn't bet on. Obviously excluding Rory and Scottie and Fleets and all those guys, but like that's the guy.
Before we get to the LIV guys, because the LIV guys aren't on these models because they don't want to be in the PGA. They'd rather golf in the desert and in Japan and everywhere else. I want to mention Akshay because he has been on a roll going into the Masters. If there were somebody, that could come out of nowhere that has struggled at the Masters, I think it could be him. Obviously, won Arnold Palmer, 13th at the Players, but hasn't golfed in 3 tournaments, I believe I want to say. I think he missed both Masters prep tournaments. Is there any reason? Like, what would you say are the reasons that he's not really on your radar at the moment?
Well, he flew overseas and, played around, missed the cut. Kind of weird. Don't know why he did that, but it's a lefty course. I think that he's definitely going to ball out. He's definitely due for a really good, a really good finish at Augusta. You always have to try to find and pick out those guys that are surging. I think Minwoo is in that conversation. Akshay is definitely in that conversation too. I wouldn't count him out at all. And I really think that he's a guy that if you're getting him at the right number for a top 30, maybe if you're trying to nab some plus money at top 20, he's a worth it guy. If you're thinking for some top 20 parlays and you want to get a good number, totally a worth it guy. I don't think he's like the perfect, Masters candidate, but he's definitely someone that can do well. And he's always just so fun to watch too. So if you're really just trying to sweat something out, why not sweat out Akshay?
Yeah, you don't have to invest too much into it. There is one other golfer that I do want to mention before we move on to the LIV guys, because we do have to talk about a couple of LIV guys really quickly. I want to mention somebody who's probably going to be the most casual person that people watch, because for the first time in, I believe, 20 years, the Masters does not feature Phil Mickelson or Tiger Woods. And out of all the tournaments in golf, the Masters is the one where the most casual fans watch. So a lot of people are going to be watching Scottie Scheffler, and a lot of people are going to be betting on Scottie Scheffler. Where does he rank in this crowd? And should he be the overwhelming favorite?
Yeah, no, I can't get behind the number. It's obviously like, yeah, it's going to be this way for a while with Scottie's dominance. He's going to make the books price him at 3-1, 4-1, 5-1. But it's crazy that even at the Masters, he's still 5-1. I mean, we talked about it earlier. It's the books are just gonna beat you down. But this is just ridiculous. This is the one moment we've been able to say Scottie is not Scottie. Scottie is someone else. And obviously, yeah, this is his best tournament ever. He's so good at Augusta, and I think he'll be fine. Like, I'm not overreacting like he's gonna miss the cut or something. But in terms of like even a top 5 finish, like I don't see it. Like if there was ever gonna be a year where he doesn't do it, it's probably this one.
All right. Yeah, I mean, I'm with you there. I think the odds are insane. I don't even think he's like the favorite to win the whole thing, which we'll get into in a bit. I do want to give the attention to the LIV guys. LIV Golf, yeah, whatever. I do want to talk about a few of them. We can't obviously see it on BetSpurt, so we're going to have to go to Data Golf. I believe they have numbers for these for them. Let me just double check. Yep. So I think the most popular bet in the Masters so far is Jon Rahm, which honestly shocks me. But with how Jon Rahm is playing at LIV, does that surprise you at all?
No, he's one of mine. I think that trend wise, he's perfect for it. He's been great this year. Him and Bryson are just, you can't ignore them. They're so good. They're good at Augusta. They fit pretty much all these trends. They have the distance for it. They have the touch for it. Rom, even in this case, has the putting for it. It's just it's really hard to keep these guys off your bet slip, and I think that yeah, they may not get as much attention as the tour guys, but when the Masters come around, I think everyone's kind of like loaded up, ready to see what have we been missing.
Yeah. I mean, Rama's run. Obviously, you mentioned Bryson DeChambeau. Man, I understand he's going for the international audience, but I think if he was in the PGA right now, he'd be the most popular golfer in the world. Would you agree?
I think there's a shot, yeah. He's definitely popular with the younger crowd, and he's really good. That helps. But yeah, I mean, good golfers, they do that, get that recognition. I think that he might just be missing this one in particular to really earn just a different tier all time.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Any other live golfers you want to mention? Cam Smith, anybody like that?
Well, Cam Smith certainly could be a guy that might, show up on your TV from one point to another. But I think aside from Cam, I think the biggest guy that I think should be talked about is Patrick Reed. I'm a huge Patrick Reed bettor. Might not be that big of a fan of his just because of he's kind of annoying and a cheater, but awesome for Team USA and definitely a Masters killer as well. He's a former winner. It's been super profitable to bet on at the Masters. I think that Model Maniac had something posted, the most profitable guys if you're taking like top 20s and top 10s and stuff like that. He's near the top of the list. Just always finds a way to squeak in there. And I think he didn't he top 5 last year.
I
Like,
think so,
is
yeah.
anyone really talking about that? So it just shows you like Pat Reed, he's playing some of the best golf of his life too. It's not even like he's just showing up once again. Oh, look at me. He's genuinely killing it. And he was one of my first like almost clicks back in January. I was like, I think this is Pat Reed's year. And honestly, it could be. He's a sleeper for sure.
Well, let's talk about the golfers who it isn't their year. Now, I want to be clear. There are a lot of sports books where you can't bet fades, which kills me because the sports books can just drive up the lines of the wins, the top 20s, whatever they want, because they don't give you a fade option. My recommendation is two books. I am sponsored by both. Use code WizBetz for Kalshi or Novig. But they are offering fades on top 10 and top 20, which I am absolutely going to be considering in the next day or two because there are a few of these that I love the odds on. I'm basically going to go through. I'm going to tell you what the odds are kind of because Kalshi's odds are a little bit different. They're based on like a percentage and whatever. So you got to factor in the betting odds or whatever. But to not finish top 10 right now at the Masters is you can make money on Rory McIlroy. I love this odds right now. I'd say the approximate is probably about like minus 145, minus 140. But Rory to not finish top 10. This does not include dead heats, by the way. If it's a tie, you're gonna win. What do you feel about this odds right now for Rory?
I mean, he's one of the most consistent, like top finishers at the Masters, which feels like yucky when you go to bet it. But I think just having the option to take a guy to not place in the top 10 at the Masters, it's a thing that you got to take. I mean, this is the first time that we're gonna see these lines, and you never know. After this Masters, well, is it gonna be a little bit different? Is Kaushi ever going to offer the same number again, or are they going to noticed that they kind of got killed and then flipped the switch completely. I think for most of these guys at the top of the leaderboard, like most of them won't place in the top 10. There's only 10 spots.
Mhm.
So if you're really like not loving a certain guy at the top, yeah, I think fading him makes a lot of sense.
I'll see how much you hate Scottie Scheffler, because would you pay $100 to win 239 for him not to finish top 10?
I would.
I like those odds. I really
I
do.
like them too.
If you
Yeah,
can
I
get
think I
any,
just
if you can get anybody plus value to not finish top 10 of the Masters, I think that's insane.
right. No, I completely agree. And I think this is whenever you look at Scotty being priced at like 4 to 1, 5 to 1, every single tournament he's been in this year, all I've thought is like, I want to take him to like be all right. Like
Mhm.
what's the number for him to like be like pretty good?
Yeah,
Like
he
and
could go
not
out
yeah.
there. He could win round two. He could be like 13 under or something like that. Nah, no, maybe not 13 under, but he could still play well and finish 15th. And like he played great, but there's 14 other golfers, which we've talked about 14 other golfers that we think might be better than Scotty this week. To get this for plus 139, yeah, yeah,
It's like, all right,
I'll take that.
there was a 6 under in the tournament. Boom. Collect your T12 and
Yeah. I mean, even on Novik right now, he's plus 129. Like, yeah, give that to me. I'll take those odds. I'll probably put honest to gosh, I might put like a half unit on it. And we'll talk about that afterwards. But the market that I want to talk about the most with you is to not make top 20. Because man, oh man, oh man, are there some names that you can actually get like near 50-50 odds for. A couple guys that stand out to me. Hideki is dead heat 50-50 odds for top 20. McIntyre is on there. We didn't talk about Russell Henley, but Russell Henley doesn't match up too well for this course. Morikawa, you can get nearly good. Like I think it's about like minus 140 for Morikawa not to finish in the top 20. Spieth, Justin Rose, anybody on this list that you're like, wow, I can't believe you can get these odds for not making top 20.
yeah, I just think where Morikawa is with his injury, he's typically a guy that can contend at the Masters. Not doesn't really have the distance to win it, but hey, he's definitely someone that I'm like, well, I don't know. You just said you were day to day still. Like, I don't even know if you're going to play in this tournament. So I think to fade him makes a lot of sense. I can see, I can see Bobby Mack haters coming out and being like, well, let's fade. But one, Bobby Mack doesn't have that many haters. And two, he kind of just tore it up at the Valero. So he might be a stay away. But on another day, I would choose to fade. But yeah, I definitely think that Collins up there. Um, Henley was terrible last year, missing the cut, but genuinely is a golfer that can survive at Augusta and still paint a pretty good score. So I'd probably avoid him there. But you might be looking at a guy like Siwoo. Even how good Siwoo is, he's a guy that doesn't have too many top 20 finishes, doesn't have a lot of bad finishes. So I feel like his floor is a little bit higher than others, but definitely a guy that, whatever. There could be 20 guys better than him, and he's still doing all right.
Minus 125 not to finish top 20. I think that's amazing value for
That's
Siwoo.
really good value, truthfully. Yeah.
I also want to highlight Chris Goddard up here. He's about like what is it right now? About 160, probably like 180. Those odds are a little bit more insane, but I still actually really like Goddard up not to finish top 20. There's just too many golfers, in my opinion. And Goddard's one of those guys that either misses the cut or he's going to finish top 5. You know,
Yeah, probably.
that's definition of Goddard up. Hovland is somebody I would consider. Jacob Bridgman not making a top 20 is interesting, but I'll say it one more time. If you give me odds for Scottie Scheffler, $100 to win 417 not to make top 20, that's pretty good odds for a not top 20 finish. By far the best on the board right now.
Yeah, for sure.
All right. I'm done being mean. I'm done being mean. We had our moment. I'll probably take a few, but we gotta talk about the good boys. What value do you see on this board that you think you just like? All right, we gotta attack this.
I don't think there's too much value in the outright market just because we know how things get tanked down. But I do think that for top tens, I think taking a stab at a couple of guys makes a little bit of sense. I think Minwoo is a guy that you can stab for a top 10. I think Patrick Reed is another top 10 find that you can get at pretty decent odds. Maybe even stick that in a parlay. I think Adam Scott for top 10, the sneaky old head. He's been playing great this year. And so I think when you combine those three together, you have a pretty crazy parlay, and it comes out to some great odds. And I think individually they're awesome as well.
Plus 7,000 if you can get Reed, Wing Woo, and Adam Scott in a top 3 for top 10, all 3 of them. I would say if you want to have fun and you want to pick 3 golfers to finish top 10, I think you have to include Ludvig in there. I think that's just an absolute must. I think out of everybody that we've talked about, I think the best value is Ludvig plus 154 for top 10, including ties. I think that the odds on that are crazy. I love that.
Wonder who has that bet. There might have been someone who took that bet.
There
Just
you go.
saying, I love it. I love it.
Ludvig is good. Obviously, I like Xander. And so right now you're at plus 520, and you're thinking, Wiz, this is kind of chalk. This isn't going to be great odds. I'm not saying to win it. I am saying top 10, somebody that has major upside that can make you a ton of money. Nicolai Hojaard to finish top 10. I absolutely love it. Plus 435. Way more than his top 20. We talked about Goddard up by the guy that's either going to finish top 5 or cut. That is Nicolai Hojaard. He's either going to miss the cut and be terrible, or at the turn on round 3, he's going to be in contention. I love the price on Hojaard this weekend.
Yeah, that's an awesome one. That's good.
I really, really like that one. Now for your least favorite, because I want to at least talk about it a little bit, because I know you hate this market. I just don't care.
I love it this week.
Yeah, I was about to say, I love this market this week, guys. This is why I'm bringing it up. To make the cut, outside of Scottie Scheffler and Jon Rahm, which are bad odds, I want you to give me 3 golfers that on your life, TMD, aren't missing the cut this weekend.
Matt Fitzpatrick has to be one of them. And I'm going to ride with Hideki as well, just because
I thought you'd be fading Hideki, personally.
I'm fading him by not taking him to do anything. But I do think that when it comes to making a cut, it's Hideki, bro. Like, you just don't fade Hideki at the Masters. And I think if there's another guy to make the cut, there's a lot of great names, and it depends just what you're willing to pay. But obviously, I'm a freak about Ludvig, so I'm thinking him. I gotta take a guy like that.
145. That ain't
not crazy. And you can go down. You can get a couple other guys. Like, maybe instead of Ludvig, you pick another one. But I do think that if you're willing to pay that, like Adam Scott could be like a frisky one where you're like, okay, all we really got to do is just sweat Adam Scott. Yeah. Like, I'll take a little bit of a better peek. I'm going to pull it up on my side too, just to see
So if you're going for guys that are like sub minus 400, and you're talking about guys that are locks, I think Russell Henley is the definition of he's going to make the cut. I don't know if Henley has top 10 potential, but Henley's been so consistent all year that what it takes to miss the Masters is a blow up round. Do I think Henley's going to have a blow up round? No, I just don't. I trust him to be consistent. Justin Rose. I think Justin Rose is in consideration to make the cut. Obviously, we mentioned Adam Scott, but I'll include Justin Thomas in there. Jake Knapp, I think, is in consideration for that as well. We haven't really talked about Kitayama, but Kitayama is somebody I think is in consideration. Well, is that correct?
Yeah, but I mean, par 5 killer. Doesn't have too much success here, but then again, doesn't have a lot of rounds, and so I think this is where he really looks to build.
How do you feel about Ryan Gerard? Minus 200.
I think he just played too much golf. I think he kind of just beat himself. He was so good coming into the year, just pretty much just finished second a handful of times, and then was like, no, guys, I'm actually really good. And then he just played too much golf and just never took a week off, and now he's just looks like he's asleep while he talks.
Mm-hmm. All right, I want to bring back Kalshi really quick because I want to talk about fading somebody, and it's one of my favorite people to fade all year. We're going top 40 market. We're going deep cuts now. How do you feel about fading at even? Oh wow, I love the odds on this. Damn near even odds outside the top 40. Mr. Marco himself.
I think we should take this one against each other because
Really?
I just think the distance, like, I'm not gonna call Augusta National a bombers only course, but man, like, if he just ends up kind of like piecing a couple par fives together, he can kind of score and keep it together. He's
No,
kind
he's
of
gonna
a
get
sneaky
OBs.
look.
He's gonna get 3 OBs in round 2.
He
100%.
certainly could. It's such a boomer bust pick, which is exactly why you're highlighting it. Because you and I both know that this could be boomer bust. This is just a fun one. Like I think if you're really a hater, which I know you are for Mr. Marco, yeah, I don't think that there's it's like a can't stay away, but I don't know. I like his length off the tee. I think it could play him into this.
What would we bet? Not money. What would we bet this Marco line?
Oh, I don't know. Oh man, like an embarrassing. No, no, we couldn't do that. I would never say yes to that. Oh fuck. We'll do a giveaway. How about that?
We can do a giveaway on
Oh,
a
but then
po-
that's kind of tied to money. I don't know.
No,
If
no,
we're
no,
thinking
no, no,
something,
no, 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 no. Here, we'll do this. We'll do a giveaway, but the other person gets to write a tweet on Twitter attaching a giveaway to whatever they choose.
yes, I'm in for it.
Deal?
Yeah, deal.
Okay. So I have Marco not finishing top 40, not including dead heats. That is, if it's not including ties, and you have him finishing top 40.
Yep, yep.
Deal.
I like it.
I'm down with that. Marco,
Let's take it.
easiest bet I've ever made. He ain't making the cut. There's no shot.
All it takes is one good round, Marco. Just start hot. Just start hot.
All right, we'll do that. We'll do that. Anybody else before we get into the grand finale that you want to mention?
Oh, yeah. Sorry, I thought there was going to be a second part to that. Yes, there is. I think a guy that should be considered. I've bet on him at the Masters every single year. Admittedly, he's actually let me down, and in certain cases, in dramatic fashion. That is my favorite Irish boy, Mr. Shane Lowry.
No,
Um,
no, you can't do this.
great. He would have easily had a top 20 last year. He just so happened to shoot, I think it was 8 over on Sunday. So that was really fun to watch him just kind of disappear. But a guy that's been pretty good at Augusta has exactly what it takes. And I know that he's the right guy for it. I don't think he's going to, pop out and win. I don't think he's as good of a golfer to really like command it, but he can finish well.
All right, this is it. The grand finale. How we're gonna do this is that we're going to do a draft between you and me. All right. We have
Love
our
drafts.
names. I will write them down. Whoever gets the best combined score, which is like we'll go lowest, okay? Wins. All right. This one won't be for anything. This will just be between you and me. And because you are the expert and because you are the man, I'm going first. And we're gonna go back and forth. So we're gonna each pick 5 names we think can win the Masters and who we think is going to finish in the top whatever. So I'm gonna go first. Now, chalk would be taking Scottie for this kind of pool, and I am not a chalk person. So I'm going bold, and I'm going the person that I think is just gonna win the Masters, and I'm going Xander. I think Xander has enough history. I think he's incredibly due. I think he had great Masters prep going into this. My first pick is gonna be Xander.
After that, I know that if I let him reach you, you're just going to take him. It's too easy. This man is going to make me over $1,000 if he wins. I got to go with my guy, Ludvig Oberg.
I love it. I love that pick. I think he's guaranteed a top 10 finish. And I think the odds that you're getting on him right now are ridiculous. I like that one a lot. All right, I'll pick Scottie. I know I've been bashing him for the price that you're getting for him, but in just a pure draft perspective, yeah, I'm gonna take the for sure top 30 and Scottie Scheffler.
That's great because I'll take that and get my second favorite guy, John Rahm, for
Yeah,
this
I knew that was
tournament. He
coming.
just does everything so well. Yeah, that was kind of a layup just to add to the team.
But I mean, hey, those are the 2 favorites. It's nice that we have them. We each have one of them. It's not like we both have one of them.
Right.
I'm going to go next, and I'm going to go talk about the golfer that we talked about first. One of the best tee degree guys out there. You want to talk about Masters prep? This dude's been killing it. I'm going Matt Fitzpatrick. I
Yeah,
love
really.
I love his price right now, and I like him a lot this weekend.
And for the next pick, I'm gonna go back to the live well. Give me Bryson DeChambeau, just a
Really?
guy
So
with a lot
you're
of
going double live.
double live. He's got back to back top tens. He's really just got everything for it, and I think he's similar to Xander, one of those guys where it's like, when is he gonna do it? It's got to happen at some point. So I got to go Bryson.
Mm-hmm. So this one I'm gonna go a little bit deeper. I'm not gonna go Rory. I'm not gonna go Fleetwood, Cam Young. I think those are all good guys. I'm gonna steal one of your boys that I think you're gonna be upset about because I really think that this guy has top 5 potential this weekend. Not enough people are talking about him. And he fits every category. He's one of the few guys that fits in all the trends. Give me Min Woo Lee.
Uh,
Yeah, I really like that one a ton.
Certainly bold, but a good one.
Go ahead.
So whereas you might go a little bit down the board, I'm gonna stay at the top. Give me my guy. I got to take Rory. I know that
Wow.
he's
See,
gonna
I
finish.
think you're gonna lose on Roy. I think Roy's gonna screw you over.
He's just a masterful Augusta player. Obviously, he doesn't have multiple wins or anything, but like I think he might have figured something out last year that he might be able to use again this year for another top 10.
Mm-hmm. Last one we're gonna do is that we're gonna do this one has to be at least better than plus 5,000 odds.
Okay,
Okay.
I'll pull up the board.
You can
I
you
think I got my guy already, but
Okay. All right. I have my
you
guy,
should.
and I think I know who your guy is.
I
I
think you do.
I think I'm going Nicolai Hojaard. I think that he has a legit chance of getting top 10. Out of all these guys on this list, I think like Russell Henley, I think Justin Thomas, I think Akshay, I think they can all finish within like 30 to 20. But if I'm going upside to beat you and I need low numbers, give me Nicolai, man. Now, he might screw me. He might miss the cut by some crazy shenanigans. He might ruin this entire list for me. But I'm going bold. I'm going Nicolai.
I love that. And my guy's currently sitting at 60 to 1 on DK.
Yeah,
Gotta go with the old head, the Boston Frog, Adam Scott.
I really like that one. I thought you're gonna be between Scott and Shane Lowry, but I think
I was.
yeah, oh, you were. So, but I think the right move definitely is Adam Scott for a top finish thing. So I personally on my list I got Xander, Scottie, Fitzpatrick, Minwoo Lee, and Nicolai Hojaard. And you have? Do you remember who you got?
Yeah, what? I have Ludvig, Rom, DeChambeau, and then I took Rory and then Adam Scott.
I like this. Now again, this is going to be whatever the finish is and whatever the lowest number is wins. Okay?
All right, let's do
But
it.
last, this is officially the last one. I have Xander winning the Masters. TMD, who is winning the Masters?
I really do love your Xander pick. I've been coming around on it all day. But in my mind, I've always really thought that I wanted to cover my bases, but in the back of my mind, there's only two guys that I really thought that can actually win this, and it's Ludwig and it's John Rahm, and I gotta stick with my guy Ludvig Aberg. He is my pick.
I legit think one of those guys is going to win the Masters. I am completely with you on that. Not usually a top 5 finish guy, but if you want to take both of these guys to finish top 5 for plus 1,600 and you want to do the Wiz and TMD parlay, I like that. It could be a really fun round 4 if those two guys.
That might be the final pairing right there.
That's what I'm saying. That might be if we get the final pairing, that deserves a subscribe below.
Yeah.
Anything you want to close on for the people that made it this far?
Yeah, I think keep yourself open to live betting. I think that sometimes the books can be a little bit slow and overly dramatic. And so, if there's a guy that you really feel like you weren't able to get early on, but you see him maybe staying in the mix and holding on and at a better number, go take it. Because there's nothing better than sweating out a winner or some crazy odds bet. It's just one of those tournaments to have a lot of fun. So definitely don't overspend on anybody, and certainly be careful, but have fun. because this is an awesome tournament that always brings some sort of memory every single year.
For a lot of people in the Discord, this is going to be their first Masters. Not only do they bet on, but going to be the first Masters that you watch. I think if I could just give one piece of advice, watch the Masters. When you're watching it with your grandpa when you're younger and you don't know any of the golfers, it ain't that enjoyable. But when you are rooting for somebody, man, oh man, is the Masters one of the best events to watch all year. Rounds 3 and 4 are going to be electric. If I can get TMD and he's not drinking with the boys, I might get him on stream to watch a couple holes with us. But just enjoy this, because this only happens once a year.
Absolutely.
So, TMD, thank you for joining me on our mega betting preview episode. We will be back tomorrow talking about our official bets for the outrights in round 1. Hopefully we have round 1 lines. I think they've already started appearing a little bit.
I think we do. I think they dropped a couple of markets that we actually take. Yeah, they already get the round score and birdies are better. That just dropped in the last few hours because I've been checking.
Yeah, we'll do the research. We'll get into that. But if you made it this far, we put so much work into these. Thank you so much for watching. Screw the subscribing, screw the liking. Just tell us about who you like this weekend. Which golfer you want to take. Are you taking somebody we like? Do you think completely wrong about somebody? We'll interact with you. Hopefully you made it this far. Both me and TMD. We appreciate you guys a ton. Let's have a great Masters weekend. And we'll see y'all tomorrow. Have a good one, guys.